All right, everyone. Hi there. Welcome to ECH Post Game Live. Yeah, deja vu. That's kind of the phrase of the day. It certainly felt a lot like last night's game. You go up 2-0, have a disastrous second period, and end up losing the game. I think there were some small improvements over last night's game. We'll get into those as we go. But first things first, I do want to say that it is just me tonight. No Dylan on Post Game Live. He's still feeling kind of under the weather. He's got those throat issues, so he's not really in a condition to talk at the moment, and we want him to rest up and recover as best as he can. So it's just going to be me tonight. But Dylan's with us in spirit, certainly. So yeah, just want to let everyone know that it's just going to be me tonight. Yeah, I mean, another tough game. At least I will give the Kraken this. In the second period, they made sure that it didn't snowball. When it got to the point where the Stars tied the game at 2-2, I figured, okay, this is a decision point right here. And Hackstall, I think, did a better job than he did last night in the game. He called a timeout. He didn't rely on just Will Borgen to go fight someone. He called a timeout, tried to slow things down. It didn't really fix anything right away, but it stopped things from snowballing to the point where they lost the game in the second period. And it kept it a winnable game going into the third. And the Kraken put on a good push. And, sometimes you get those bounces, sometimes you don't. They didn't tonight, but at least I think they learned a lesson there. And it was good to see that adjustment made. So I will give credit to Hackstall on that one. Just at least learning the lesson from the night before. I was really hoping he would. That would be just something I really didn't want to see, is if he didn't call timeout and just kind of let it keep going. And what happened ended up happening. So, all right, let's turn to chat here. We've got Ty, sad but not sad, down with Vegas. Yes, that is the silver lining for this game. I even mentioned it in the tweet with the link to this. Yeah, it does help, Dallas in their playoff push. Hurts the Golden Knights' playoff chances. I mean, this would have been a big loss for Dallas. They had a lot to play for tonight. And it just makes that task for Vegas a little bit tougher trying to get into the playoffs. So for those of us, who maybe don't want the Golden Knights to make the playoffs, this goes a long way toward accomplishing that. It also does, help the Kraken's draft lottery odds. And I'll talk about that a little bit later too, because we got a lot more certainty with one of the results of the games tonight. So we kind of know where the Kraken might end up in the lottery, down to about 4 spots. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Stratic, I'd like to apologize on behalf of all Ryan Donato fans for his costing the Kraken a point tonight. That was just a brutal turnover behind the net. There's no other way to put that. It's just a rough mistake. And, it doesn't change, I think, how we all feel about Ryan Donato, that the Kraken need to re-sign him, that he's still been one of the brighter spots for them this season. And that doesn't change anything, but it was just such a rough turnover. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was just terrible. There's no way that Chris Drieger can get set, get square to that shot. I mean, there's nothing he can do at that point once that pass comes right out to the front. Yeah, you just can't have that. It's definitely one of those turning point moments in the game too. Hunter, deja vu. Yeah, I mean, deja vu. It really does feel like yesterday's game. Just those second periods, you got to do better. They've been outscored 8-0 in the last 2 second periods. I'm sure that's going to be a point of focus for their next game, obviously, in Vancouver. Lindsay, hello from Dallas. Yes, hi, Lindsay. I know you were at the game. I'm sure you had fun in the first period. Hopefully you got your enjoyment out of that, and made sure to have a good time early on, knowing in the back of your mind what was possible. But seriously, I hope you had a great time, and I'm sure we'll hear more from you about how the game was. Christopher, keep draft position, hurts Vegas, not all bad. Exactly. And with the Flyers only 1 point ahead of the Kraken, I mean, it does help, not getting points out of these games, I suppose, for the draft position. And again, hurting Vegas. I think we do like to see that. Stratic, I'd also like to pat Ryan Donato on the back for helping put a nail in Vegas's playoff coffin. I mean, Vegas is still very much in it. Like, Dallas still has some work to go, because Vegas plays Dallas coming up in a couple games, so that's going to be a huge one. Vegas is still very, very much in it. They still control their destiny too. If Vegas wins out, they're in. So long as their win against Dallas is in regulation and all that. But really, if they win out, they're in. So they're not done yet. Ty, amusingly enough, I was driving during the second, so I missed it. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's good timing to be driving there. You can probably tell. If you watched last night's game, you can kind of tell what happened. I'm going to go down in chat because I see Dylan here. Dylan, hey all, sorry I'm not there. My throat is trashed and just can't do it. F these tonsils, lol, and thanks for holding it down, RJ. Yeah, thanks for showing up in chat here. Good, I figured you might be watching. Thanks for giving us a little status update there, Dylan. Yeah, sorry about your tonsils. It is a rough situation. Dylan, also, Rask was perfectly fine tonight. Yes, we get Dylan's Rask report, even though he's not here on video with us. Had to have it. Rask had such a good chance, too, in the third period to potentially tie the game. Came very close, but shows he's going to the right areas, doing a lot of the right things tonight. I was happy with his game. All right, we got Ferris, the second period, man. Maybe the problem is when they switch directions. I know, right? Maybe just facing the other direction of the rink. Something about it. Maybe the long change. I need to go back and look at the goals, see if any of them are, them getting caught on a long change. But I don't think even that's the case. They just kind of forget how to play defense. I mean, you saw it on that power play goal tonight where Larson just gets walked around. You can tell everyone defensively is just reeling when they get into this mindset of, oh no, it's happening again. You kind of tell that's what was going on. And it's rough to watch. You just feel like, something, just stop it. Someone put a stop to this and just calm everyone down. Lindsay, the first period was fun, but I just knew they wouldn't be able to come back after they went down. Yeah, I mean, once you go down and give up the lead like that and give the other team a lead and let them kind of sit back and defend, it's so hard to get back in the game. We've heard that so many times from Kraken players, coaches this season about how hard it is to play from behind, and you can't put yourself in that situation. You just can't do it. Let's see, we got Leanne. Welp, at least we only lost by one. Yep, throw it on the pile of 1-goal losses. I know that's a stat that a lot of people with the Kraken like to bring up, is how many 1-goal games they've been in. They're almost even. I think they have just a slightly tilted toward losing record in those 1-goal games. But this one adds another one to the 1-goal losses. See, X-Kid Z, second period bites us again, and Beniers' point streak over. Like the effort in the end, though. Yes, I mean, they put on a good push, and this is something that Hackstall likes to talk about and is really true. It's just this team doesn't quit. They don't give up, even when they get shaken at a point in the game like they did in the second period tonight. They stick with it. They didn't give up. They put on a push till the very last second, really. It came up short. That's going to happen sometimes. But they gave themselves a chance, too. I mean, that's what I really didn't like about yesterday's game, is they let that second period collapse just keep going to the point where they were out of the game. It didn't matter how well they would do in the third. You're not winning that game once you go down as far as they did. So I do like that they at least kept it within reach. Brian, I'll rep Donato. You can stand down. Brutally awful turnover. One of my 3 duds tonight. Yeah, Brian, with the Donato jersey too. He's certainly qualified to speak on that. I mean, yeah, Donato did not have a very good game tonight. I do wonder if, I don't think he necessarily deserves to be scratched for the next game, but it's something I could see happening, just after how rough of a game that was. I forgot to check what his ice time was in the third period. I saw about halfway through he just had 1 shift for 50 seconds. I'm going to peek at that right now, because I don't think Donato got much ice. Oh, he got, what do you think, about 3 minutes or so of ice time in the third period, but still, I mean, that's less than he got in the first 2 periods. And I did see Jared McCann kind of moving in on the other wing on Matty Beniers' line for a few shifts. I think maybe that's just trying to spark something, but maybe also a comment on Donato's play. Stratic, can RJ at least give us a Rask report in honor of Dylan's absence tonight? Well, better yet, we got it from Dylan, and you got my opinion on it too. So, yeah, that's the Rask report. I was happy with how he played tonight. I mean, he was not the problem. He went to a lot of the right places, and almost had the tying goal in the third. Hard to fault him on it too. That puck was really bouncing around. Let's see. Hunter, meh, we're still in the prime position for the third pick. Yes, Kraken are in the driver's seat for the third pick, or at least that third spot, because if you have that third spot, it's definitely more likely than not that you're not going to pick third. The lottery odds are kind of weird that way. Like if you finish with that third spot, I'm looking here at the little chart here. Yeah, there's this great chart from Micah Blake McCurdy at Ineffective Math on Twitter that's got, all the lottery odds, for each pick. And it's certainly my go-to chart. But if you have the third, position in the lottery odds, you are actually least likely to pick third out of any of your potential picks. You're most likely to pick fourth, followed by fifth, followed by first, followed by second, and then third. So it works out kind of weird a little bit. Usually you're most likely to pick one less than what your spot is. But yeah, so it's an interesting chart. But yeah, they're definitely still in the driver's seat there. Still have to lose some games. I think the Flyers, probably aren't going to do too well down the stretch, but we'll see how it goes. But what we do know, and I'll talk about this now, the lottery odds, because Ottawa beat Montreal in regulation tonight. That means that the Coyotes cannot catch the Kraken. Montreal cannot catch the Kraken. So the Kraken can do no better than third for the lottery odds positioning. But because Ottawa won, the Kraken can't catch them. So the Kraken can do no worse than sixth. So they'll have either the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth position in the lottery odds for the draft lottery, which of course will take place May 10th. So they're kind of narrowed in on one of those four spots. There's only so far up or down they can go, which again, it's just more reason to hope for some wins, because I think we would like to see them turn it around and continue to win at home, because that's been so much fun. Let's see. Hunter, remember when we were good during second periods? Those were the days. Yes, I do remember. Feels like a while ago, but I do remember that second period trend. That was great. Of course, they didn't really play too well in the first and third back then, but I do remember those days. X-Kid Z, Dylan pulling through with the Rask report even while on IR. That's Dylan. He'll play through the difficulties. He wouldn't just leave us here. Glad he showed up in chat here. Lindsay, while Dallas has a pretty good in-arena experience, I much prefer CPA. The Dallas pregame music and hype video was weak, and music during breaks was all from 2012 and overplayed. Also, some massive jerks sitting behind us were being rude, so I'm honestly kind of glad we lost, so we didn't get heckled more in our Kraken jerseys, lol. Listening to you guys on the car ride home, can I get a shout out to Aunt Barbara for the tickets and Bob for driving? Absolutely. Yes. Thanks, Aunt Barbara, for giving Lindsay the tickets. Glad she had a good time. I'm sorry about those jerks behind you there, Lindsay. And thank you, Bob, for driving. Always the thankless task to it, from the games. But yeah, shout out to Aunt Barbara and Bob. Yeah, again, sorry about those fans behind you. It really does make a big difference in the experience, when you have good fans around you versus bad. I really sorry about that. Yeah, and Dylan saying sorry to hear, hopefully they weren't too bad. And good on you, Barbara and Bob. Yeah, shout out from Dylan too. That's great. Stratic, I did like that, unlike last night, the Kraken kind of turned it around and gave themselves some chances to get back in the game, especially given it was a third period of a back-to-back. Yeah, exactly. And that is the big area of improvement I think we saw from the Kraken tonight, where they gave themselves a chance to stay in the game. And, those are kind of the baby steps that you have to take when you're working toward being a competitive team. If you look and you're, at the spot in a playoff race where these points matter, it's going to make a difference if you can get yourself in as many games as possible so you have the opportunity to collect those points, because every now and again you're going to get that bounce. You're going to have that response, that goal in the third period that's going to tie it up and get you at least 1 point. Every now and again you're going to tie it and, maybe win in overtime or a shootout. Those are the kind of things that add up over the course of a season. And one of the differences between good teams and bad teams is being able to put yourself in enough games so you don't let those points slip away. That's something we saw from the Kraken a lot earlier this season, as a bad team where they didn't put themselves in the game. They took themselves out of it usually, in the first or second period, and then it's too little too late if you do play well at the end. So that was an improvement tonight. Let's see. Stratic, Hackstall threw Donato out there late in the game with minutes left to try and redeem himself, but it didn't work. Hey, you know what? I like that move. Give him a chance. That's something where you have a player who clearly, I'm sure, would want to prove something. And that can work. I mean, I sort of bring this up, but Game 7, Sharks versus Vegas, that famous Game 7. You look at Barclay Goodrow with the overtime winner. He had a terrible game up to that point. I think he was a -3. He was on the ice for all three of the 4 Vegas goals, including the tying goal. With not much time left, barely played in overtime, and then Peter DeBoer just threw him out on the ice for a shift. Figured he'd have fresh legs, he'd be motivated. He goes out, scores the overtime winner. It can happen. So I do like that move from Hackstall. Stratic, also, what was with not pulling Drieger with rock solid possession in the Dallas end with 2 minutes left? Felt like an opportunity wasted. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because I just assumed that he must have been pulled at that point. They were cycling the puck so well. They had lots of chances. It's just they didn't pull the goalie. I mean, I think maybe it's because you had the Geeky line on. I think, then again, I don't know why you put the Geeky line on there if you're not prepared to pull the goalie if they do well, because they did a really good job. I mean, they had puck possession solidly for a while, and you're definitely in the territory where analytics say you should pull the goalie. So I don't know why they didn't do that. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe because they were toward the end of a shift. I know they were trying to kind of change them piecemeal, and maybe you don't want a goalie pull while you're doing that, but still, it did seem like a wasted opportunity to me. Hunter, win at home, lose on the road. Sounds like a nice balance. Hey, I mean, if it's that or the other way around, I'll take it. Jeff Merrick always likes to quote, I forget who originally said it, but Jeff Merrick always likes to say, if you're going to stink on the road. That's definitely the way to go. And I'll take it as long as the home wins keep coming. Hunter asking, how's Sinbin Vegas doing? Might want to check up on him. Yeah, actually, I haven't checked Sinbin on Twitter since this game went final. I mean, I'm sure Ken's doing fine. He doesn't really have a lot of faith in this Vegas team, even if they do make the playoffs, to go very far. I mean, I think he just sees a lot of, fundamental problems. And I think today also he's more focused on the weird situation with Robin Lehner. I mean, that's what's up with that? I mean, they did a press release saying he's not practicing today, but they hope he's going to be able to play tomorrow, after it seemed like yesterday's news that he was going to be out for the season with surgery. I don't know what's going on there. Vegas is just such an odd organization there. I don't get it. But he's probably concerned with that because, it's hard to get honesty out of that organization. So he's probably just trying to dig into that one. Stratic reminding everyone to like the stream. Yep, everyone liked the stream. I think we're still a few short of likes versus viewers. Lindsay, Barbara, and Bob feel so special and appreciate the shout outs. My sister Cassie is here too, but she wore a Kings shirt, so she doesn't get a shout out. She only gets a shout out if the Kings shirt is just, anti-Vegas, because the Kings need to win to get Vegas out of that Pacific spot. So maybe I'll allow it depending on the reasoning. Dylan, what did everyone think of the lineup changes tonight? Also, sorry, RJ, I'll stop backseat streaming. No, it's great. I love your commentary in here. That's a good question. Let's talk about the lineup changes. Stratic, regarding the lineup changes, cough, Sprong would have tied it. I don't know that Sprong would have tied it. I'd like to believe that. Certainly after, my little debate with Dylan there on the last post game, that would be pretty fun if Sprong tied the game. I think, Sprong in Oh no, sorry, Sprong out and then Geeky in for him. I think it's good to get Geeky back into a game. I mean, he looked motivated to me. Still didn't make a huge difference in the game. I think but you don't want him to sit for too long. I don't know. Maybe Sprong would have made a difference. I don't know. The one I was surprised to see was Derek Pouliot. Pouliot coming into the game. I knew they were going to switch the defense around because that's something Hackstall talked about before yesterday's game. He said with the back-to-back, we're going to try and get everyone in there. And certainly given their performance against Minnesota, I'm like, okay, we're going to see some changes on D. I'm just really surprised to see Hayden Fleury didn't come in. I hope it's not an indication of, maybe an injury or that head injury still, or sorry, upper body injury, still lingering. I am a little concerned about that, given that I just don't think there's any reason to put Pouliot in over Hayden Fleury if both are healthy. Pouliot, mixed reviews. I know he contributed offensively. I think it was on that first goal. Defensively, I think he took that cross-checking penalty that wasn't the best. It's what we've kind of seen from him. Where it's up and down. And again, it's tough when you're just watching a lot of games from the press box too. I don't know, nothing too exciting there for me. But yeah, I'm curious about Hayden Fleury's status, whether he's doing all right. I wonder if Hackstall does get asked about that one after the game. Brian, hey Cassie, your LA Kings are ahead 1-0 over Anaheim. Oh, that's good news. Sergeant Pickles made it to the Iceplex for the first time and even took the little man. He was doing good but started to get cranky in the second, and I'm convinced he could tell how the game was going. Hey, kids know, what? They have instincts. They can tell when something's not right. But glad you got to check out the Iceplex. Interested to hear what you thought of it. What'd you think of the facility? We've gotten a lot of reviews one way or the other on it. It'd be interesting to hear what you thought. Stratic, I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Vegas locker room and front office. Oh, absolutely. Someday somebody's going to write a fantastic book. Someone who, was there behind the scenes for everything is going to write a great tell-all book. And I will certainly read it or listen to the audiobook at least. But yeah, there's so much going on behind the scenes, I am sure. It's just an interesting situation. Surgery, and then they hope he plays tomorrow. I don't know. They certainly know how to mismanage a goalie situation. That is without a doubt. Stratix, one day someone will write a book. Wow, how did I not see that comment? Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Someone's going to write a great book, and we'll have some great content there. Stratic, I liked Pouliot tonight, even on the night and an assist. That's all right by me. Yeah, he was certainly okay. There were some defensive plays I didn't like the most, and, the penalty I mentioned. But, for him, where that bar is, where you just have to kind of be okay, I was fine with it, and certainly, didn't have some of the worst defensive plays of the night from Kraken defensemen. I will say that. Scott, Riker Evans signs entry-level contract. Yes. Riker Evans, I believe that was yesterday. He signed his entry-level contract. He's going to go straight to Charlotte and play for the Checkers in their playoff run. I think that's going to be great for him. Really good experience there, to get for him going into next season. He's certainly going to get a look in training camp. I think Dylan and I talked about it last post-game live, what his odds are on maybe making the roster right away. But definitely happy to see that for him. I'm interested to watch Charlotte in the playoffs. They're doing really well. Joey Decord and Riker Evans, kind of powering that team. And especially, I think they might be a little bit more Kraken heavy come playoff time, given that Kraken prospect heavy come playoff time, given that the Kraken are not going to make the playoffs. You might have a lot of guys going down there, whereas the Florida Panthers, the team they share the affiliation with, are definitely going to make the playoffs. So you might see them kind of call up some black aces from the team. Sergeant Pickles' facility was pretty cool, but didn't get to check out all of the areas. My son loved being able to look down from the bar and grill and watch the game going on. It's a cool feature from the bar and grill. You can get to kind of look down, watch everything going on. It's a great vantage point. I like how they kind of built that along the edge. Yeah, Dylan pointing out that's awesome. Glad he liked it. You're able to share the experience with them. I mean, there's nothing better than that. Getting to share that experience with your kid and kind of get them into to hockey and the Kraken and all that. I mean, it's just going to be awesome for you and for many years to come. Brian, 3 stars in a dim lit night. Yeah, no, that's fitting. Gord, 100th goal. Sheahan and Drieger. Donato hung him out. Otherwise, he kept us in it. Yes, Yanni Gord, congrats to him for the 100th goal. I mean, that play shows so much of what he can do, battling to get that puck down behind the net and that tip. Like, I see that tip happens so often in practice. He stays and just works and just works and works at that. And it takes a lot of practice to make it look that effortless. I mean, just awesome. Like reaching kind of across his body there. Like that puck was pretty far away from him. And Yanni just got that. That is a high skill play to make. So good for him on the 100th goal. Sheahan, yeah, I thought he had a good game. It's funny, my brother and I were talking about him before the game, and then he goes and gets that first goal, and we kind of look at each other. But that's what we talked about in the last post game, is going to the right areas, going to those tough areas, the dirty areas, right in front of the net to generate your goals. I mean, it's what we kind of talked about, that the Kraken didn't do that last game, and they felt the goals would come easy. They needed to get back to going to those areas. And that's exactly what Sheahan did. That's where the pucks are going to pop out to you. That's where you're going to get those rebounds. And he was rewarded for it. I mean, it's great to see they do get rewarded when they do the right things there. Chris Drieger, yeah, I mean, what's he supposed to do on that third goal? But he did give them a chance to win. And the Stars got a lot of quality scoring chances. And Drieger shut the door on them. I mean, he gave them every opportunity to go win that game. It's just, that's all you can ask of a goalie, really. I can't fault him on this one. Let's see. Ty, RJ, you are maybe getting a bit too comfortable with your audience. That Red Glare episode, not saying anything for those who aren't patrons, but I had no idea you were a fan. Such a fun listen. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, we did get quite a bit into that goal, the Golden Knights situation, all that. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a fun one to record. I'm glad you enjoyed listening to it, Ty. Sergeant Pickles, he's only 9 months old, but I'm starting him early. Oh, that's great. Yep, start him early. That's the way to do it. Dylan pointing out, means only 15 to 18 months before he's in skates. Yeah, exactly. Get the skates on him early. I mean, we see these pictures of all the NHLers, right, that are in skates, basically as soon as they can walk. It's such a fun process. I mean, I think I learned to skate at 8 years old. So definitely, not that early, but it's fun when you can get into it from a young age, and it definitely does give them a leg up. X-Kid Z, I'm a new hockey watcher, and I have kept up a little bit with other sports. I don't think I've seen a team with really inconsistent effort like the Kraken. Yeah, I mean, there are some frustrating teams. There are some inconsistent teams. The Kraken, they are, more inconsistent than most. We'll say that. It's just an issue when you have a team that, I guess you could, say expansion is maybe one reason, everyone coming together, never having played before. The coaching and the leadership maybe wasn't the strongest to start the season. We've kind of gone over that, for a while during the season. And then I think you're clarifying here. Yeah, usually when things aren't going well, you can chalk it up to having an off game, but not necessarily lack of effort or loss of fundamentals, as sometimes you guys point out with the Kraken. Is this just a hockey thing? I think, hockey also, it's such a team game. You need all 4 lines to contribute. You need everyone, kind of pulling on that rope in the same direction. And you can have these mistakes that just cost you so much. And that if you have guys lose focus, I mean, like we saw last game in the second period, clearly the Kraken to a man were shaken at that point, based on what was happening with the Wild just putting on this attack, them being unable to stop it. That's able to affect you in ways that, maybe it doesn't always in other sports. I mean, look at, I don't know basketball that well, but you get on a bad run, you can still generally make it up. It can still, kind of be evened out over the course of a game. In hockey, it's just tough. It can sink you like that. And, with 5 guys moving all so fast at once, there's just a lot of player tracking you have to do. You have to always keep your head on a swivel, have to always be thinking really fast, and thinking at a high level. And if you stop doing that, you're going to get burned. So I think, in hockey, that's, that's something that can make a big difference. If you're not, if you lose the fundamentals, basically, if you're not thinking through the game in that way. I'm interested to hear Dylan's thoughts on that, if he's still in here in chat, kind of what he thinks of that. Let's see. Sergeant Pickles also was really hoping for an Alexiak goal or fight for the revenge game. That's right. Alexiak revenge game. Yeah. I mean, we didn't get a goal or a fight. I thought he did a good job using his body though. There were several moments where I noticed he was more physical than the kind of the bare minimum he needed to be, especially around his own net. So I was pleased with that. There were a few plays where he really, I think, did a good job, pushing guys out, maybe even got a little bit, aggressive and dare I say violent at times, but not in a bad way. So he was definitely ready to go, I think, from a physical perspective. So I will give him that. Let's see. Lindsay, that Drieger toe save in the first was a thing of beauty to see in person. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, especially if you were at that net. I mean, how quickly he came across and got the toe on that. That was a big save at that point in the game too. The momentum there, that changes the game for sure if that goes in. And to watch him in person too. I mean, it's something I, almost take for granted at times, just seeing him as often as I do in practice and whatnot. But just when you're in person up close, how quickly he's able to move from side to side, it really is something to see. Stratic. Drieger still posted an above 900 save percentage and lots of good saves. I'm having more confidence in him than Grew, even though Grew is doing better too. Definitely feeling more tandem-y. Absolutely. It feels like they kind of need each other and this back and forth. And I mean, that's what we were hoping for at the start of the season, that you really get into that tandem rhythm. I think you've started to commit to that now as the season's, drawing to a close. But I think it does benefit both goalies when you rotate them like this and you develop a tandem. I'm glad to see Hackstall at least commit to that a little bit. I was worried he might just still kind of run Grubauer into the ground toward the end of the season. But they've been getting pretty even starts, which I'm happy to see. Ty, the red glares are always fun. Feel like I'm sitting down talking hockey with my buddies. If you aren't in there, it's worth it. Thank you, Ty. It's a really fun podcast, and for Dylan and I to record too. I mean, that's kind of, how we go about it. It's like we're just talking hockey with our buddies, a little bit more of a casual feel, talking about some league-wide topics, the kind of things that, we would discuss, just the two of us for so many years. Now we get to share it with the patrons. It's really great. And of course for the summer, we're, as I think we got one more week of the Patreon one, and then, we're going to open up the red glare and have that kind of public, when we pause the Patreon. So you guys are going to all get the chance to listen to it and, get a taste of kind of what it's all about. Scott, are you and Dylan doing a year-end top 3 or top 5 player list May 1st? Interesting. A top 3 or top 5 player list. That's definitely something we could do. We could talk about kind of who the team MVP has been, name a top 5. One thing I've been thinking about is maybe doing kind of maybe ranking either a top 10 or I think the Kraken have had, I think it's something around 37 players play from this season. I was thinking about just maybe ranking them 1 through 37 as far as, positive team impact. Where would you put an Alex Barre-Boulet or a Nathan Bastian in there? Maybe I could have some fun just kind of ranking them all, first to last. So that's another idea that I've been having. Sergeant Pickles, I didn't learn to ice skate until I was 19 and have never actually suited up with pads. He and I can learn together. Oh, that'd be such an awesome experience. Yeah, learning to play hockey together. There's nothing better. That's going to be great. So excited for you. Hockey Mom, what are Kraken stats for when opposing team scores on empty net versus times the Kraken score with the extra man? Seems like more empty net goals. I had a hard time finding empty net goal stats, on any of the main sites. Maybe Dylan can chime in on this if he knows anywhere. But I think the Kraken were near the league record for most. I think I only checked back to like the year 2000 or something, but most empty net goals allowed by any team. And it's, a lot of it is just kind of luck based and bounces or whatever. Cause I think, every team that trails enough is just going to pull their goalie, and whether you get scored on it's a luck thing over a large sample size. But, the Kraken are definitely, outscored. I think a lot of that is also the fact they have to pull their goalie a lot more because they're trailing a lot more. They are a losing team, and that's what that is going to entail. Stratic, one thing it can be hard to tell based on watching TV, hockey is a mentally and physically exhausting game with a lot of difference in skill from the top to bottom lines. So if you get a bad matchup like a first versus fourth line, it can look bad. Yes, it really can. I mean, as much as all of these players are just so many miles better than anyone you'll ever really see or play with or against. There is a pretty big discrepancy there from like first line to fourth line talent. At the ends of that bell curve, you really do see some discrepancies there. So, and especially if guys are tired too. I mean, it can make really good players, still in their own right, look really bad. Dylan, like we talked about a little while ago on one of the pods, hockey is like 90% mental for most of these guys. They're all skilled enough to get here. That's what separates them. So for effort night in, night out, shift by shift, it takes a lot of work from players personally, as well as a coaching staff, to keep everyone in a mindset where they can focus like that for 82 plus games. I mean, yeah, really well said, Dylan. They're all very good. Like I mentioned, they're all, so many miles above, what we can imagine when we go out there with a stick and puck. And so they all have to be really good to get there. And so, yeah, it's a mental grind. It really is. And it takes a lot of work when you're on that grind to just make sure you're paying attention at all times, and focused like that. So, that's why, motivation and that sort of thing is such a big part of coaching as well. It's easy to kind of lose concentration there. Stratic, not many other sports have that top versus bottom line scenario appear, and it can add a sense of inconsistency of the team being victimized. Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think. I mean, basketball generally it's just, kind of 1 through 5, 1 through 6. Football, occasionally you'll see a team get down to their, 5th, 6th corner, and you see the, teams will throw at that guy all the time, and you see the mismatches play out there, when you do have that. It can happen. Geo show, ECH award show. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, we could do our ECH awards. I think it'd be fun to come up with some different awards, some little, I don't know, maybe a little bit more out there concepts for awards. That could be a fun one. I'm sure Dylan and I would have a fun time brainstorming that, what kind of awards we can do. We're definitely going to have a lot of, kind of end of season content. Obviously, we're going to go and do like the expansion draft, redraft, or kind of regrade the expansion draft. There's going to be I think we'll do end of season player grades as well. There's going to be a lot of fun content for you guys there at the end of the season. We kind of take a look back and get our impressions on how it all went. Let's see, XKidZ, I know it's late, but I was about to join the Patreon. Are you guys going to have Patreon-only content in the off-season, or will it be completely paused until the season starts again? Yeah, it's going to be completely paused until the season starts again, just because, the things that are kind of the pillars of it, the Red Glare podcast, we want everyone to listen to, for the playoffs and stuff. The watch parties, we want those to be, more of an open thing for the playoff games, since they're not Kraken games. And we might not be able to do those as consistently, things like that. So no, it's going to be completely paused until the season starts again. But let's see, if I will get back to you on that too, because I think, if you want to sign up now so it's there for next season, I don't think you'll be charged anything yet, but wait on that for a sec. I got to confirm that that's what the settings are set to. Sergeant Pickle's end-of-season requests total roster rankings, including a stud or dud tag for all players, Pre versus post trade deadline and pre versus post Beniers team stat comparison. Yeah, like I think the total roster rankings there, like I mentioned, just kind of going through everyone might be fun. And then, yeah, we definitely got to get those splits, pre and post trade deadline and pre and post Beniers, because there's clearly been a change there as far as how the team has played. XKidZ, I've heard people say hockey is the fastest game in the world, and it's obviously very physical. I'm surprised at how old some veterans are. Yeah, I mean, it's a physical game. It's a fast game. It's so hard to keep up. But I think, one of the best examples of the mental side of it, and actually Stratic coming in right here, hockey is also a game where knowing the right place to be on the ice can save you a lot of energy, and vets that last a long time get really good at that. If they don't, they're toast. Exactly. If you are smart about it, you can keep up with, maybe your legs not being as effective as they used to be. Maybe some of the stick skills not as effective as they used to be. And I think the perfect example of that. Oh yeah, Dylan said you will be charged if you sign up right now. We haven't paused it yet. Have to wait till May 1st to do that. Okay. So yeah, don't sign up yet. Yeah, you will be charged if you sign up right now. Yeah, so wait till May 1st and we'll have that sorted out. But anyway, the perfect example for these for the veteran players is Joe Pavelski, who you saw play tonight. Now, Joe Pavelski is 37 years old, and he is still, I think, a point per game player. I think he came into the game with 77 points in 78 games, which is incredible. I mean, that is, I think, tied for the 6th highest scoring season of any 37-year-old in NHL history. And the way he does that is by being in the right position so much of the time, still going to the right areas of the ice, and finding teammates and knowing where they're going to be. I mean, you saw his assist on the Stars, I believe it was their first goal, going out wide, and that backhand pass he made to find Jason Robertson. Like, heck of a pass. And he didn't need a whole bunch of speed on that play. He just needed to pull the defenseman away. He's so smart at doing that, and then send a great pass there. Also, he goes to the front end of the net a ton. He takes a lot of punishment for doing that, but it's something that your age isn't going to stop you from being able to do. And of course, he is the best tipper of the puck in the NHL. And so he gets a lot of goals, generates a lot of offense that way by going to those spots where he can deflect the puck, where he doesn't need to necessarily skate really hard to get there. But he's such a smart player. He just got his 500th career assist tonight. That's a great example of how veterans can stay in the league and stay effective. This is good. I got an excuse to rave about Joe Pavelski. I'm happy about that. Let's see, Brian, ECH member-based awards. I have a vote for Tank Commander. Yeah, we could do that. Ty would certainly, earn some kind of award for that streak. Scott, I still don't get why Schwartz wasn't put on IR at some point this year. I mean, that's a good question, a good thing to wonder. Basically, even if Jaden Schwartz is, kind of shut down for the rest of the season, as I think he is. I mean, look, we haven't seen him being practicing. It doesn't seem like they're going to bring him back. There's no real reason to bring him back this regular season. So even if that is the case, there's no reason to put him on IR because there is no roster size limit after the trade deadline. The reason you put guys on IR usually is to open up a roster spot so you can bring up someone to kind of play in their place. We saw that happen a lot with the Kraken, kind of throughout the season where they put guys on IR to open up a roster spot. But since it's post-trade deadline, you just don't need to do that. There's no roster limit, and so it doesn't really make a difference. And if for some reason Schwartz, can come back, some miracle happens, he's totally healed, then it allows him to come back, and you haven't put him on IR and kind of ruled him out from that. So yeah, really just no reason to do that. Sergeant Pickles, maybe you guys could give an NHL video game rank for each guy. Yeah, like an overall ranking there. Lindsay, biggest bummer tonight wasn't the loss, but that Matty Beniers' point streak finally ended. Yes, it did. Unfortunately, Beniers' point streak ends tonight. Hey, we knew he wasn't going to score a point every game of his NHL career. At least gets that out of the way tonight. I thought he still played a fine game. He had a really good play in the second period where he kind of cleared the puck off the goal line, really calm under pressure there. I think he kind of stepped in front of the net, let it hit him, and then cleared it away, averting the danger there, still doing his thing defensively. I need to check his final ice time, though. because I remember he played a lot less last game. I think it was like 13 minutes or so. How much did he play tonight? He played 18 minutes. Okay, so back to, kind of that top 6 ice time for Matty Beniers, which is, good sign, good to see. And I think he's someone that Hackstall trusted and probably thought played well in this game. But yeah, the point streak ends, unfortunately. Stratic, is there a last live stream before the end of the season, or are we all done for Patreon content for the season? There will be one more ECH live commentary, and that will be for the next game against Vancouver on the 26th. We will be doing the ECH live commentary for that game. Again, sorry to all the Watch Party tier patrons for having to bump it back with the Winnipeg game getting postponed because of the snow. We'd originally planned it for that one, and then that game postponed. We've had some real luck with that this season. But yes, it will be the Vancouver game, the next Kraken game, live commentary. Make sure to tune in. And what time is that game? Making sure we have the right time on it. That one will be 7 o'clock on Tuesday, April 26th, the next Kraken game, live commentary. Looking forward to seeing you there. Stratic, he'll just need to get 2 next game to keep up the pace. Exactly. That's how averages work. Sergeant Pickles, to only come up 1 game short of the great one to start your career is still incredible. Call me crazy, but Beniers could end up being the best player from that class. It's certainly possible, and I don't think that's crazy to think. It's not that out there to say the second overall pick could be the best player from a draft class. I'd probably rather have him than Owen Power at this point. I think there are a lot of good players in that draft class. I think we're going to see someone from that 3 to 12 range turn out to be really good. We're probably going to get a superstar or two in that range, but certainly Beniers at this point is as good as anyone in that draft class, and a great start to his career. Absolutely nothing wrong with a with a 5-game point streak there. Brian, go where the puck is going, not where it's been. Walter Gretzky, Ari Pavelski's success as a 37-year-old, and anyone for that matter. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's something that Pavelski is so good at doing, and that timeless advice from Walter Gretzky, to go where the puck is going, not where it's been. Let's see, Scott, Beniers' addition to the roster seemed to change the team dynamic and infused more energy. Yes, it has. And that's one thing I also noticed about just them being in good spots, even if they don't finish it off. And that's why I tweeted earlier during the game that the Kraken, 5 out of the 6 games that Beniers has been on the team, they've had a 2-goal lead at some point. I mean, 2-goal leads for the Kraken were very few and far between, the rest of the season before Beniers arrived. And now they're scoring more. They're putting themselves in good situations. Need to work a little bit on finishing that, not getting caught up in the momentum. But, it's good to see that they're capable of doing that. And that's been really reassuring to me anyway. X-Kid Z, I've heard that quote before. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, I think about it as a quote for life. Exactly. Yeah, try and anticipate where things are going. Put yourself in the right spots. It's great advice. He was a great man, taught his son rather well. Yes, Walter Gretzky, one of those truly great sports dads of all time. And for sure, taught his son very well. All right, so that's the end of chat. We'll do a last call on chat here. While we look at things, I think we're at the 48-minute mark, a little shorter tonight. Tougher without Dylan here with us on video. Tough road trip. Obviously, they got one more game left on the trip. They actually are coming back home. They have an open practice, I believe, on Monday the 25th. So they are coming back to Seattle. There'll be an open practice if anyone wants to go. I'm going to be there. It's going to be my great return from COVID absence. So I am looking forward to it so much. The ECH live commentary on the 26th. Yep. Good night, Brian. Saying good night, family. Lindsay, good night, RJ. Thanks again for the shout outs. Yeah, of course. Glad you were able to go to the game. Glad you had a good time. That's always a fun experience getting to go to a game, especially on the road. I love going to road games. So glad you enjoyed that one. And I think that'll do it for the stream tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us on ECH Post Game Live. We'll be right back at it on Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, for the Vancouver game. Looking forward to seeing you all there. And good night.